with Marcus Head.
Hey everybody, this is your host Marcus Head from the Good Head Podcast Show. And here I have a special treat for you. I have the hilarious actor, comedian, radio personality, Special K in the building, y'all. What's going on, Special K?
What up, though?
So first and foremost, introduce everybody to the world who don't know who you are.
K. Douglas, comedian, a.k.a. Special K. Comedian, radio personality, writer, actor, part-time air traffic controller. I do a lot of stuff.
Cool. Well, we're going to have to get into all that. So first and foremost, I got to ask you, I always ask my comedians this question. Do you remember the first time you got on stage and what was that experience like? And who was the comic that put the mic in your hand?
Nah, I don't remember. Honestly, I really don't. I want to say it was, I know what it was. It was 1996. I know what it was. First time I got on stage, it just came back to me. I was working on a radio station. I was a part-time fill-in writer / character on a radio show. It was an all-white station. It was a talk station on AM radio. I used to call into their shows all the time, and I was really funny. And they liked me. They asked me to come in and be in studio. And so I did that a few times, and they thought I was funny there. And they were having a comedy. They were actually having the station was sponsoring a live event, and they needed a comedian. And they said, well, you know, you're so funny. Are you a stand-up comic? And I said, yeah. And I was lying because I had never been on stage before. But I said, yeah, because they was going to pay me like $1,000. So I said, yeah, I'm a comedian. I had watched enough comedians. They said, okay, well, we want you to headline this show. I went out to the Variety Playhouse, which is no longer there, downtown Atlanta. I did a 45-minute set in front of a group of lily white people that I was probably the first black person they'd ever seen up close. And so anything I said was amazing to them. Guys basically bullshitted my way through 45 minutes of just telling stories about the hood and my life and everything. And they thought I was Dave Chappelle. They had no clue that I had no idea what I was doing. But I was just doing what I had seen other people do, you know. So that was my very first time on stage. It was crazy. And I got $1,000 for it. And it went well. Hard to bomb in front of white families and kids. And it's real hard for a black man. If a black man bombed in that situation, you are truly not cut out for this.
Man, that's funny. So after you went, mastered that, did that, then you had to like really get that confidence. I know that gave you confidence. So what was the first time, or you remember when you got on the black stage? Because, you know, it's a whole different ball game.
Nah, well, okay, Marcus, this is a whole different scenario right here. Because let me tell you what, for people who don't know, and we talked about it a bunch on the morning show, I used to strip.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
And that's what led into me doing stand-up. Because when I was working with the group that I was dancing with, our MC was Samore, and Queen of Comedy Samore. She started blowing up after she did Def Jam, and she became less and less available to MC the Camaro Review. As she started to have more absences, somebody had to fill in. I ended up grabbing the mic and being the MC for this whole deal, right? And part of what I would do when I opened up the show, when I was talking to a crowd full of women, I would just be funny. You know what I mean? I would just be funny and just be like roasting chicks in the crowd or just talking shit and being funny. And Samore actually saw me doing my thing, and she was like, dude, why aren't you doing stand-up? Like, you're really funny. Like, you can do this. You got this. And I was like, I don't know. She was like, look, get you a set. Get like 5-10 minute set, and you can go on the road with me. You can open up for me, because at the time she was like on fire.
Right.
And I'm like, shit, okay, you know. And so I started going out to Uptown Comedy Corner, the original Uptown Comedy Corner, and trying my stuff there. And you know, it started working. And when it started working, I just said, okay, I guess I'm a comic now. Started going on the road with some more. So I got my feet wet doing big shows, because she was selling out everywhere. You know, we was doing comedy clubs and, you know, 4, 5, 6 shows a weekend. So I got my feet wet with big crowds. And so it was, you know, of course I was doing the sports bars and the bar and grills and the bowling alleys and all that shit in between. But I was really, you know, making my chops on the road with her. And that's kind of where it all started.
Well, I definitely love that story, but I got another story that I want to tell, because I was actually there and I saw it. So I remember back in the day, I believe it was 2000. BET was being showcased in New Orleans at the Opium, and I remember that was the first time I met you, and it was you, myself, and comic Sean Morgan. We were standing in line trying to get on BET.
And where was we at?
We was at in New Orleans at the Opium.
Right. That was 2001.
Oh, 2001. Okay.
Because it was after I got out of prison.
Okay. And we're going to touch on that in a minute. And you, myself, and Sean Morgan just met each other, and we were standing in line. And I never forget that because we showed up almost every day. Bruce was the host. And I remember I forgot her name, but the person that was doing the booking, she ended up booking you for BET Comic View because she said she thought you was cute. You remember that?
I mean, that could have been a thing. I don't know.
so the stripping and the good looks and all that stuff, got you on there. And
I guess it didn't hurt. Shit.
Yeah, I got you. And one thing that, like you said, you was incarcerated. So I want to touch base on that because I remember the last time you performed on stage at Uptown Comedy Corner. And I know this is going to trip you out. You was on stage talking and you were just doing your thing and you had a water bottle in your hand. And you would not let that water bottle go because you was telling everybody about you about to go in and everything else. And we were just all watching you and you had a water bottle. And bro, you had that water bottle and you were just pressing on that water bottle. You was hilarious, but you had a water bottle in your hand. Yeah, I remember a lot of stuff. And I remember that was the last time.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but that was Uptown. Remember right before you went to jail, you remember doing Uptown that night?
Kind of, sort of, but bro, that was 23
years.
Yeah,
I know, bro. I know. But like I said, I remember.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to remember all them moments.
I remember
man.
It like this day because I was standing right. It was me. I was standing right there with Sunshine, and we were just watching you, and you was doing your thing. So we're not going to get into detail because you served your crime.
That was a nerve-wracking time in my life, too.
Yeah, you was nervous, like I said, and if I had video, you with that water bottle, that was hilarious. But one thing I have to say,
yeah, I was about to go away and do 18 months,
and you did it, and you served your crime. But one thing that I have to say that's very remarkable about you is you did your time, and then you just shot up from there. So while you was in prison, explain to us.
Wait a minute, Marcus.
Yeah,
Marcus. Wait a minute. Pause. I did my time. I came out in 2000, like fall 2001, right? Went in February 2000, came out about 16 months later. I went to the halfway house, right? As soon as I was able to travel and do shows again, which was probably, 19 months after I went in, I went to do another show. I went to do my first show coming out of prison in Selma, Alabama. I had did a show in Selma right before I went in at the same venue. Turned it out. It was beautiful. The same promoter hit me up, said, "Hey, man, I know you out. I want you to come do that show again for me, man." He booked me, 4 or 5 other comedians. I know Lav Love was on the show, Pat Brown was on the show, Steve Brown was on the show. I can't remember. I want to say Marvin Dixon was on the show. Had a bunch of us down there. Had me closing. When I tell you that was the worst bomb I ever had in my full entire career. When I tell you I came out and everything was off. My timing was off. My delivery was off. My material was wrong. I went after all them people. They all went up there and ripped. I came out last and it was an absolute disaster. Like the people didn't even boo. It was so bad that the crowd didn't even boo. We're talking like 400, 500 people in there. They didn't even boo. They just started getting up and leaving. Like, first it was like 2 or 3 people, then it was like a whole table full, then it was like just groups of people leaving, like somebody that has set off the fire alarm. And the promoter was so mad, he didn't even pay me the rest of my money. It was bad.
Wow.
It was terrible. So, yeah, I learned a valuable lesson from that. That bombing teaches you. Bombing builds character.
So that's even more incredible because you bombed, just got out of jail, and now, look at you now. So, real quick, tell us how you picked it and put it all together, and how did you first meet Rickey Smiley and got on the Rickey Smiley Show?
I mean, I just went back to work. This was, like I said, this was 2001. I came out. I was literally at the lowest point. I didn't have no work. Yeah, I was doing different stuff. I was doing different jobs. I wasn't on the radio yet. I was doing different jobs. I worked at Kroger. I worked at selling alarm systems. I did all kind of like temp jobs. I was doing all kind of shit. I was working. I was doing contracting work with my brother-in-law. He taught me how to lay floors and remodel bathrooms and all kind of shit. I was doing all this between '01 to '05. That's when I got a little radio gig in Augusta. I got a radio gig in Augusta, Georgia, from a friend of a friend, and I used to go up there and do stuff, and they asked me to come in and fill in on this morning show. Me and this another girl did that for about 7 months, and that kept me afloat until I was able to come back to Atlanta in 2006 or seven, I think it was. Me and Ricky connected. We had known each other since '97, '98. We had known each other a long time, but we hadn't done anything together. We ended up having a share in the same manager, and he suggested that I go on the road with him. Just so happened that as he was trying to get me back out on the stand-up scene, like for real, he was like, yo, got a lot of dates coming up with Rick. He just started this radio show in Dallas, and he got a lot of dates coming up, and, put you on these dates. So basically, I was jumping on as one of the featured acts on his Ricky Smiley and Friends. We did a couple of dates together. He was like, yo, man, I've always enjoyed your comedy. I've always liked your writing skills or whatever. And it was a particular joke I was doing about Walmart that he really, really liked how I put it together. He was like, man, I just like how you think. I like how you write. Come down to Dallas, man. I got a new radio show. Come down to Dallas and, help me come up with some ideas for the show. And I'm like, well, shit, all right, cool. So he paid me to come down there for like a week. I sat in for a week and just kind of brainstormed, coming up with ideas, Bernie Jenkins church announcements, news you can't use, stuff like that, top five. And that week turned into a month. And then I'm standing there for a month and he was like, yo, just, we on a roll. We on a roll, man. Just so I was unofficially hired as a writer for the show. But it wasn't, the radio company, he was just paying me out of his pocket. I didn't have a job with the radio station yet. And then we continued on with that, man. We stayed on the road. We did Ricky Smiley and Friends, 2007, 2008. I think coming into 2009, the show moved to Atlanta. We got syndication. At that point, I guess sometime between the time we left Dallas and moved to Atlanta, I got hired by the Radio One hired me. And so now I was officially on the morning show, but I was officially as a writer. Fast forward, man, we just worked and built up affiliates and, getting these number one ranked ratings everywhere. And, we continued to stay on the road doing comedy. And now I'm, not only, a full-time cast member on the show, but one of the producers on the show and the head writer for the show. So
16 years later. So you got to tell everybody, how did Black Tony come about?
So I used to do a character when I first started calling in the radio shows back in the day, man. When I first got a gig with that white radio station, I used to call in with this character, Fresh from the Hood. That was the guy's name was Fresh. And they would say, well, where you from? I said, man, I'm from the hood. It don't matter where I'm from. I'm just from the hood. Because I was talking to all white people. So it didn't matter. And Fresh was just kind of like a streetwise character. He was always getting in some shit. He always had these situations going on. And the host would just be tickled as hell with the stories this dude would call in that he was going through. Just crazy shit that an old white dude from the suburbs couldn't even imagine relating to. And so Fresh kind of went away after I stopped doing that gig, but the underlying theme for the character kind of hung around. And then, just different people in my life, man, that I know and that I have, in my family and dealing with. One day, we had scheduled Gucci Mane. This is on the morning, so we had Gucci Mane scheduled to come into the studio for an interview. And I said it would be hilarious. It might not even been Gucci. It might have been Shawty Low. I know it was one of these Atlanta rappers, one of these hardcore ghetto ass Atlanta rappers. And I I said, you know what would be funny is if a super fan called in and just was going crazy that we had this dude on the show. And that's where Black Tony was born. Yeah, and I'm not saying anything other than that's where Black Tony was born, and he just kind of appeared after that and just keeps calling in.
And that's a testament to you to keep it fresh and people want to hear it.
I opened up the lane for this guy to call in. I don't know who this guy is. Some people say he has similarities to somebody that's on the show. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that.
All right, give me a quick little Tony real quick.
I mean, I have a skill of sounding like Black Tony. I do have a skill. I'm able to mimic his voice pretty well. That's like the only impersonation I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Hey, Shotty, I ain't from the corner word today, cuz. You know what I'm saying? What? It's just crazy, Shotty. It's too much going on. You know what I'm saying? I got situation, cuz. So ugly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a skill of sounding like him.
So tell us, what is it like daily working on that show? Because y'all be having a good time, man.
It's wild, man. It's wild because, you know, we done been through a lot of cast changes over the years. We done had a lot of co-hosts. And, you know, we got different people that's been in and out. I have a different relationship with all of them, starting with Ebony Steele, the first co-host. Then we went to Claudia Jordan. Then we went to the Brat. And then we went to Eva Marcel. Then we got Maria Moore. Like, that co-host position is very interactive with what I do. So, you know, whoever that co-host is, whoever's sitting in that seat, in that female seat, I have a lot of interaction with, and I've had different relationships with all of them. You know, Brat came in, we had a rocky start, man. Brat hated my ass for like Brat hated me for probably 2-3 years. And, you know,
shout out to Brat.
Yeah. I love Brat and she loved me, but she ain't liked me for a long time. We got off to a rocky start. And so that used to play out on the air. Me and Gary, of course, are cool. We've been cool from pretty much from day one. I'm able to roast him in ways that nobody else can roast him because, you know, I can get away with it because, you know, at the end of the day, I love him. Rock T, funny dude. We like everybody on that show has to have very thick skin. 'Cause if you don't have thick skin, you can't come in there with your feelings on your sleeve because anybody can have a bad day, and if you make a mistake, it's gonna be called out. It's gonna be on the air. It's gonna be you're gonna be highlighted for that day. If you make a mistake, you mess up reading the commercial. If you say something wrong, if I say something funny that I think is funny and it don't work, they're gonna talk about it for the rest of the day, if not the rest of the week. You know what I mean? So
I got you.
It's a crazy, like, we got the biggest morning show in the country. Nobody else has this many people on their morning show. So it's a constant, it's always something, man. But at the end of the day, you know, everybody get along. So
I got to say, Gary, I did his podcast not too long ago, and, you know, he showed love, and, you know, I know he's going through a difficult time right now. So recently, I was going to book you for a show that I was doing, and then you got sick. Tell us about that.
I didn't really get sick. What happened was back in April, I think it was. I want to say I started having these dizzy spells, like vertigo, real bad. Like I would be walking around and I would feel like I was on a cruise ship. And then it started getting worse and worse over the course of a few weeks. And I wasn't having headaches, but I was just having I was disoriented all the time. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Went to the doctor. One doctor, she recommended I go to a neuro doc. Went to the neuro doctor. They did examination and discovered that I had a tumor. I had a pituitary tumor. This is on the front of your brain, but it's on the front of your brain, like behind this right here. It had gotten big to the point where it was like the size of a plum, and it was pressing on my ocular glands that control your vision. And so what happened was when I went they sent me to an eye doctor specialist, and they said, "Yo, you got to get this thing removed, or you're gonna wake up blind, like for real, for real. Like you're gonna lose your vision if you don't get this thing out." So, long story short, went to the ENT, went to a specialist down in, they sent me to a specialist down in Macon, Georgia. And went down there, they scheduled me for a surgery. They went in through my nose. And They didn't have to open my head up. They went in through my nose with some special shit, and they were able to remove the tumor. But then what happened was in the seal, they had to seal it back up, that area, and a little bitty bubble of air got in, and it's not supposed to have air in there, and it created some difficulties the following day because I was supposed to be home in 2 days, but I ended up being in the ICU for 10 days because they had to get that situation straightened out. And so it was really bad. It was a really bad 10 days of nonstop, just excruciating headaches and pain medication and IVs and catheters. It was a lot. It was a bad 10 days. And then I got home and I had to recoup for another 2 weeks at home. So it was rough, man. I was off the air for a month. I was off the air for 5 weeks. But, came back out, man, jumped back on the stage. I was hosting the Kim and Babyface tour at the time. So literally, after I recuperated for like about a week, I got back out on the road and finished doing those last tour dates. It was a little weird because I couldn't fly. I had to get driven to the dates, and it took me a minute to get my voice back and to get my balance and all that. But yeah, it worked out, man. So, God is good, brother.
Glad to hear that, man.
God is good.
All the time, bro. So I have a project I'm doing called Live and in Color, which is similar to Saturday Night Live. I told you about a while back. Definitely want to have you on the project. It's got Rodney Perry, Coco Brown, Marvin Hunter, Jesse McDonald, Leon Rogers. Got a lot of people. So we definitely going to talk about that.
Yeah, hit me up. Tell me congratulations.
Congratulations, bro. I'm finna talk about that.
Yeah.
Congratulations, the 25-year anniversary to your lovely wife and 4 kids, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Celebrated 25 years last week, rather. 25 years of marriage and 29 years together, man. So I've been with this lady all my life, because I ain't even 31, so I've been with this lady forever. Since I was 2. We've been together since I was 2.
What's your wife's name?
Shari, yeah. Like Shari Belafonte? Yeah.
All right, shout out to Shari. I don't know how she put up with you all these years, bro. She needs some medication, some therapy all them years she put up with you, because I know you a piece of work.
Hey, man, that woman thank her lucky stars every day that she got this blessing.
Okay, we upside down again.
Oh, Lord. That's what happened when I started lying.
I'm not adding that. I got to keep that.
Am I still upside down?
Man, you know what? We gonna run it just like this, bro. Upside down. It is what it is.
Do you know what else I got going on for 2023?
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what's going on for Special K in 2023?
Royal Comedy Tour, man. Royal Comedy Tour with the fantastic host, some more. Back with my girl again, Bruce.
Bruce was the first person to put the mic in my hand.
Yeah, Bruce was one of the first people that put one in my hand, too, on the Atlanta scene. He was the first one to put money in my pocket. He paid me $50 to do a Wednesday night gig. He was doing a Chick Chat back in the day. Also on this show, we already did 2 dates, and then we're off for December. We go back in January. But we had Dominique, Ali Sadiq, Don D.C. Curry on upcoming dates, because we got 22 more dates in January, from January to May. RoyalComedyTour.com. You can check that out and find out when we're going to be in the city near you. State Farm Arena, we're doing that in Atlanta, February 17th. But there's a lot more cities on there, man. Baltimore, Charlotte, Washington, D.C., Miami, just a lot of cities, man. A lot of cities. So go on there, RoyalComedyTour.com, and get those tour dates.
All right, bro. Before I get you out of here, I got a thing I can't ask the guests. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. You just give me a simple answer. You ready?
Rock.
All right. What's your favorite cereal?
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. You old school, bro.
Yes, sir. Fruit Loops, man. Yeah, Fruit Loops, bro. Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks.
What's your favorite comedy city that you've done that you love?
Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, close second would be Baltimore.
Okay. Now, if this whole comedy acting sketch thing didn't work out, what would you be doing right now?
Robbing niggas like you. Nah, what would I'd be doing midget porn. Midget porn. Yeah. That way I could look huge. Man. I could look huge next to the other actresses. And you're like, oh my God, what you gonna do with all that?
Question.
Yeah.
And the last question is, what would you tell your younger version of self now when you was first starting out that you know?
Stay away from these hoes, man. Hoes ain't no more, they ain't loyal, hoes ain't no good, man. Get married soon and stick with it.
Hey, bro, I just wanted to say, man, I appreciate the love. Everybody can catch you on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show from 6 to 10.
Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. And you can catch me on my IG, Special K913, on my Facebook and my YouTube, Comedian Special K, all that.
Upside Down Special K. Hey, man, we appreciate the love, bro. Appreciate you coming on.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold up. You can catch my podcast, too, man. Two Virgos on the mic. Myself and comedian LeVar Walker. Two Virgos on the mic on every podcast outlet.
Hey, there you have it, man. Special K, like I said, we're going to definitely broadcast this. Tell Ricky I said what's up, man. To me, Ricky is the best stand-up, sketch, improv, genius. Just come up with stuff, period.
He ain't shit.
Much love, man. Like I said, I enjoy the show, man. I really do. I enjoy it.
All right, for sure. I'll do that.